Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello there, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 210 of the new series of the Cognitive podcast. You will be hearing this, I believe, around November 30th, so happy Thanksgiving. I hope it was great. As I record this, of course, it's November 24th, so I couldn't tell you. Dun, dun, dun. You're listening to me from the future. I hope it was wonderful. I plan to have a wonderful one. By the time you hear this, I will have run a turkey trot and also a race on Saturday morning because I am really desperately trying to get those extra 18 clicks so that I finish my 100K in November goal in Project Q. So I hope you're wishing me luck from the future. In the meantime, in the warm thanks department, I wanted to thank Sal Pal, who talked about changing her travel plans because of the current crazy in the U.S. And thank you for your kindness. I think we're all managing painful feelings around this, but frankly, I just wouldn't want to be caught menstruating in a red state. You know what I'm saying? But whatever you're thinking about this, I think we're all managing difficult feelings. I have a very dear friend who I strongly suspect was one of the MAGA minority, because they were. Look at the numbers. And what really gets me is all these MAGA people keep calling people who aren't as kind of sympathy calls. I know you're probably upset. I thought I'd see if I could help. You know, the normal name for that is gloating and hypocrisy. And so it's kind of painful and awkward. So, yeah, it's a strange way to be giving thanks. And I feel you, Sal Pal, on this one. I think we're all managing some challenging feelings, particularly watching the incoming cabinet appointments, just saying, everybody breathe. We have strategies. Sure we do. All right, let's roll right along here. What's on my hooks and needles? Well, you can see my picture of some of my finished quilt squares. At that point, I do believe I think that's 11 squares. These are log cabin squares, and they are a center and then 2 rows in each direction, alternating light and dark. Figure it out. If you know what a log cabin square is, you know what I just said. In other words, one diagonal side is done in light strips, one diagonal side is done in dark strips, and you can make a lot of different patterns. The one I wanted to make was a pinwheel pattern, and that's what I'm doing. And you have to look at that picture and squint a little bit so that you see the color value as opposed to the actual color, and you will see a zigzag of the dark color going between the pinwheels of the light. The other great thing about it, you can also see things I could have done better, like some of my color values on light strips, particularly to me, I'd say the one that is cats in neon colors, I called that a bright, but when you look at it, it looks more like a dark. But it's okay. You can get away with a little bit of fudging on color value. It's really going to be about what the whole thing looks like overall when it's a big piece all stitched together into a top. I am currently making 8 more right now, and these are easy to make in large batches. You just take a long strip and cut it into 2.5-inch squares, and I'm using a light strip. It is hearts. It's that flannel that had all the pink and blue and orangey hearts, and you put that in the center, and then you do strips 2 dark and then 2 light, and you work your way around that in a spiral, and you get what you're looking at there. This is the basic log cabin. You really can look this up in almost any basic quilting book to see what I'm talking about, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. The most fun is I have this enormous tub, 20-gallon tub, full of these strips. And the great thing about a log cabin is you only have to separate them into lights and darks. You don't have to color match. And you can get all sorts of good things like I've got here. And it's a lot of fun because it'll just go tearing through all of your leftovers as long as you've pre-cut them into 2.5-inch strips. In my case, I think a more traditional square would be 1.5 inch to make 1-inch stripes. I have 2-inch stripes. So my squares are a little bigger and blockier, and I love it because I just don't want to go down to 1.5-inch stripes. Also, the other thing I've left open is a Roman stripe quilt, but I will come back to that some other time. Right now, I'm really happy because this is eating up the leftover quilt strips. And of course, one of the game plans for Thanksgiving, I still have some fabric, now that I made a few more skirts, that needs to be cut into strips. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying just reducing all my leftover fabrics to these strips and then doing productive things with them. It is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. Also, I decided to start on the 2023 Advent Calendar from the Woobles. I have all the PDFs, the patterns. So the first thing is something I already made. It's a beanie, and I made it and I put it on one of my penguins. And then there's a lump of coal, which is really not exciting. So I moved on to the fir tree. In the Advent Calendar, it was in, I think, 3 pieces. And then this year they reissued it as an entire tree, not in 3 pieces, called Douglas the Fir Tree. And they put a face on it, and it just looks creepy weird to me. I don't need faces on my trees, let's put it that way. So I went back and I made the fir tree. That's 3 days out of the Wooble Advent Calendar from 2023. I still owe a lump of coal, but I'll get there eventually. So that is Douglas the Wooble Fir Tree. He comes complete with a star, which I think was a 3rd day, a separate day on the calendar. So there he is, my finished fir tree. People keep saying, how do you want to decorate him? I was thinking about little colored French knots, but I'm not even sure. I kind of like him as a plain fir tree. In progress, well, the stash toss is still at 43 in versus 62 out, which I'm very happy to say. And in the meantime, over Thanksgiving, I'm hoping to find some lovely, inexpensive sock yarn to use as the feet, because I'm going to get ready to do those socks from the tubes that Steffi Jo so generously gave me at CFRX. Meanwhile, I am on the foot of sock number 2. I just passed the waist yarn for the heel. And that is on the Yule Socks 2024. So hopefully I will have those done. It would be nice if I finished them over the Thanksgiving holiday, because I want to go through my sock bins and sort out what I'd like to use next. And I'm also hoping over Thanksgiving that I will be working on vestuary. I'd like to finish that, get it off the needles. That will take us to a strategy. So, of course, we are in our post-election strategies, things you have to do based on where our economy seems to be going right now. And one of the most important things that I haven't said yet, and I'm glad somebody prompted me, is it is time to buy local and to support small businesses. Look, the whole point of bringing in tariffs is to make American manufacturing somewhat stronger. Of course, if you look at the economic results right now under Biden, American manufacturing is doing really well. But I think they're trying to eliminate all these cheap companies like Temu, the Chinese companies, by adding tariffs. All right, I really don't care if Jeff Bezos gets any more wealthy or Elon Musk. I really don't care. But I do care about the fact that we're buying everything so corporate now, and the mom and pop businesses are going to have a lot of problems no matter what you do, because they're going to have trouble now if they're makers, like people who dye yarn. They're going to have tariffs on the stuff they're buying. So they're going to have real problems because of the tariffs, as odd as that sounds. Their costs, their expenses to set up and run are going to go through the roof. So now you can support big oligarch-type businesses like Amazon, who are not going to have to compete with Chinese businesses anymore, or you could support the small makers who are going to get hit by the tariffs. And you can support the small businesses. So who do you want to support? Do you want to make Jeff Bezos even richer? Or would you like to make the family down the street that's trying to run their own little business more successful? Make your choice. But I would really encourage that you start looking for and buying from small businesses. And yes, that includes anybody. This is the time to locate businesses run by people of color, indigenous people, women. But I mean, anybody running a small business is going to struggle. I think everybody in small business already is struggling, and they're going to continue to struggle. I think that we're all being sort of shunted into this corporate model, and I don't think it's a great idea. And I think the tariffs are going to make it one step more complicated. So whoever you choose to buy from and whatever your reason for buying from them, please look at your local businesses, look at small businesses. Let's try supporting them, because they are going to get hit by the tariffs in a way the big corporate ones are not. Meanwhile, under Project Q, I am proud to tell you as I record this, I just ran a boffing 7 clicks, so I am now at 82K. Actually, I'm close to 83. I'm at like 82.8 or something K. So this is a relief. I might actually make it. And then there were the adventures in running. Today, as I was heading back on a trail that goes under several bridges, I realized there was a guy just standing under a bridge in the shadows, not doing anything. Was he going to bother me? I had bear spray and a GoPro. And you know what I did? Yes, I ran around him. I did not go under the bridge. Oh, did you say you were wearing a GoPro? Yes, I could have filmed him. I was live filming, but I chose not to. One of the things about being a woman athlete is not taking risks. Even if it seems meaningless, or I was very armed and I could have handled this, if it was going to be a problem, or gosh, the guy's probably just taking a rest under a bridge. It was a very weird place to rest. It is shady on a cool day. Why he would stand in the dark instead of being out in the light where it's warmer and brighter. And there's a wind that goes under that bridge because you're in this riverbed. Yeah, it's just a strange and weird place to be. So really, why? But anyway, the point is, probably he was nothing. But I will tell you, as a lifelong athlete who's been attacked several times, don't take the risk. It really wasn't that inconvenient. I was running for time. I just ran around him, literally, by choosing a different route. Which leads me to talk about yesterday when I got attacked again. Yes, I was running in my neighborhood, and I was running on a road that is surrounded by houses. It's not like it's remote, but a lot of people don't drive on it. It's a long discussion why it's hard to get into this road and out of this road. I don't envy the people who live there. So there I am running up this dirt road, and a guy in an SUV lays on his horn. I turn around and he is aiming for me. So I turn around and he suddenly hits the brakes and stops the horn. But he has now been blowing the horn easily for 10 seconds. My heart is in my mouth, and I don't understand why he's blowing a horn while still aiming at me. You know, if I didn't know better, I'd say he wanted to scare the living spit out of me. Well, funny thing is, he stopped right away, and then he pulls up next to me, opens his window, begins to babble at me. And I'm like, yes, fine, go away. Oh, well, I'm just trying to, I thought you were my friend. He runs here. I thought I would mess with him. And I'm going, does your friend normally run in pink tights? Does your friend have well-defined hips like a woman? Your friend who you're identifying as a guy? Really? Would he dress like this? I'm sorry to say this, guys. I know I'm 64, but I've lost a lot of weight. Is your male friend shapely like a woman? No, of course not. He was babbling. Oh, my name is Tom. I'm just going to say this as nicely as I can. Everything coming out of this guy's mouth was obviously a lie, and his name is certainly not Tom. And I live locally, and I'm like, okay, Tom, I've got to go. Tom, I've got to go. Roll your window up, Tom, and drive away. And I'm holding my bear spray. He drives away, and I'm thinking, geez, oh, man. What was that about? I was wearing a GoPro. That's what it was about. When I turned around, he was getting filmed. He's beautifully on camera the whole time, harassing me, license plates. He goes, this isn't my car. This is someone else's car. And I'm thinking, what is it with this guy? Well, when I realized he saw the GoPro. Why, where is the GoPro, Gemma? It's right in the middle of my chest on a harness. Man, I'm amazed if he didn't soil himself, because he must have thought I got it all on film. Now, Gemma, why are you wearing a GoPro? Because on Friday a dog attacked me. Good Lord. This was about 20 pounds of terrier, and it would not quit. I was nowhere near its property. I could see where it came from, came tearing out of a gate, and just went for me. And fortunately, his mouth was too little, and I was bundled up against the cold. He could not get his jaws around me, or I would have been bitten. So I'm looking at him, and I'm talking calmly to him, because I realize he can't really hurt me, but I kept my hands out of range. He could have hurt my hands. And I'm saying, good boy, it's okay. And there's nobody anywhere around me. The house is set back from the road. I can see what house he's coming from. There's 4 other dogs. They're afraid to come out of the gate. The gate's wide open. And I'm thinking, okay. And I talked to him calmly. I did not kick him, which would have exposed my ankles to his bite. It would have been awkward, but he might have been able to get him. But also, I really didn't want to hurt this crazy little dog. I am a dog person, but there is no excuse for what was happening to me. Okay, so flash forward a little bit. I went home, loaded up the GoPro, which I haven't used since my scuba days in 2016, and I went out yesterday to find Rover, and I took some treats in my pocket, and I said to myself, let's see if I can throw Terrier of Terror a few treats, and maybe that'll be enough. Never got the chance. I was running up the road and was about to turn on the road where the dog was when Tom accosted me in his SUV. And of course, Tom must have thought my GoPro was running. Well, it wasn't, but I turned it on. I thought I turned it on when I turned down the road where the dog from Hades was. Didn't run. Didn't record a darn thing, but the dog didn't show up. So this has been an exciting, shall we say, 3 days. Let's recap. Terrier from Hades on Friday. Crazy Tom harassing me with his SUV on Saturday. Did I mention Saturday it was pouring rain during most of my run? That was a pretty good one. It was a great run, though. I did enjoy it. And on Sunday, weird guy under the bridge who wouldn't come out no matter how long I waited, so I ran around him. So, this really bugs me as I sit here. I've just done my run out here in Valencia. As I told you, I did, I think, 7 kilometers. And I'm sitting here still wearing the GoPro because I want to see what I did get. I wore the GoPro today because I just wanted to experiment with it. I need to learn how to use it more successfully than I've been using it. I hate to run with a GoPro. It doesn't hurt. It's not uncomfortable at all. In fact, you just forget about it almost immediately. I was trying to remember to turn it off and on every half hour of running and kept forgetting. It's that easy to forget. It's that unnoticeable when you wear it. I hate the idea that the world is this unsafe, but you know what? My fellow female athletes, I guess this is another strategy. You can get alarm buzzers that are quite loud. I hesitate to wear mine, but I have one, bright pink. It's just a siren. However, it's going to get your ears too, and you can clip them on your clothes, and you can carry bear spray, and you can carry a GoPro. All in all, that's going to run you about $500 to get all those things together. I am so disgusted that it has come to this, but I have to say our government is about to give up recognizing the rule of law. I mean, we've got a convicted felon as president. So, all bets are off as to whether there will be any laws after the inauguration. So, frankly, if you're going to be a girl athlete, maybe you better think about getting some of this equipment. I never thought I would live to say this. Meanwhile, on a more cheerful note, coming up this Thursday on Thanksgiving, I do have the turkey trot. As I record this, about 3 days. 3 days? Yeah, 3.5 days till the turkey trot. And then, because I'm not wrapped too tight, I actually signed up for another race on Saturday because it had a great shirt. And surprisingly, my husband encouraged me to do it. He said, you could really enjoy it. These things are getting a bit expensive because the beloved son wants to run with me, thereby doubling the cost. What can I tell you? It's a great shirt. I want to make my 100K. The True Love is very supportive of this. I should also, I'll talk about it in the blather. I should also say that I'm off the statin and I feel great again, which is such a relief. A week ago, I felt so bad from the statin. If you go into the show notes, which, by the way, are cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com or on Ravelry under our podcast group, If you go in there, you will see my upcoming races. So I've got 2 this week. It's a little unusual for me, but certainly doable. I've done more than this already this week. I've got the Turkey Trot in Valencia at the 28th, early in the morning. And then Saturday morning, we've got the Santa Clarita Thanksgiving 5K. And that moves me on to December's Jingle Jog as my next race on December 21st. Still looking for the elusive January race. Meanwhile, in the fluffy books, not a lot of action. I'm still in Death on the Tiber reading, and I'm still in the Non-Such listening at night. I am really enjoying the Non-Such. I am very impressed with it. It's very well thought out, very well written. Heyer gets a little too excited about reproducing early 19th century cant language, like street language, or I don't know what to call it, because there's nothing that compares to what 20th century or 21st century American street language is, but it's the closest I can get. Even so, the Non-Such is a lot of good fun, and I'm enjoying it. All right, let's get on to something I really like. Well, kids, I asked for a Kindle for Christmas. The biggest one they make, I think it's 32 gig, the Paperwhite. And the beloved I know bought it for me because Best Buy sent me the notice, so that was very nice. However, I looked at my old Kindle. I turned it on, charged it up, looked at the number of books, which it doesn't tell you, but I did a rough estimate. Then I looked at the number of books I have on Amazon, and then I realized the new Kindles will also download Audible audiobooks. And that's a game changer. So the space I need for books and Audible books has grown quite large because of the addition of the Audible books. Now, a while back, I was trying to find a way to download and save my Audible books. And it's really hard to do. I mean, it takes 3 wise men and a star to find your way. Well, this solves that problem. So you know what I did, right? All the Black Friday stuff has started. I bought the cheapest Kindle there is. This is not even a Paperwhite. It's a 6-inch screen. Mine was in the color matcha. I would call it sage, very pretty green. And it's $89 if you buy it with the ads. I bought it without the ads, and I bought a nice little cover for it, and that brought it up to, I think, $130. But I'm deeply happy I did this. It took me just a small part of yesterday afternoon to fill it up, and I am nowhere near finished downloading my Kindle and my Audible collections. So the beloved's gift for Christmas should finish that, and I will have 3 Kindles worth of books. By the way, if you're wondering, the current one, I believe, is 8 gig, and I'm getting a 32 gig, so that really should finish it off. The 8 gig one, 273 books and recordings and documents, if that helps you. I know they're all wildly different sizes from each other, but I thought I would tell you that. So something I really like, frankly, go get yourself a cheap Kindle and start downloading your stuff. Why? Kindles are not necessarily connected to the web. So you download, you disconnect from your Wi-Fi, and all you have is an electronic reader with 273 books. It's a pretty good deal. I am here to tell you it's pretty wonderful. So what I'm really saying is this is how, if you buy your books on Kindle, like you're not doing Kindle Unlimited like some people do, if you're actually buying your books, this is how you download them, save them, and continue to use and read them in your own private collection without ever worrying about Amazon going under or disappearing or whatever, or revoking the Kindle program or taking your books back or changing its policies. Oh yes, I like it. Put a lid on it. This is a very simple thing. This week I've been working on substituting sour cream in things like hot cocoa and soup. Works great. Why am I doing this? Reduces the carb. Heavy cream doesn't have a lot of carbs. Sour cream has even less. Here's the other one. So you put sour cream in the bottom of your blender, you put some coffee powder in it, and then you put hot water in it. Yeah, you're not going to scald the sour cream. It's just sour cream. It's going to act like sour cream. But I happen to like the tangy flavor. It's a little less expensive than heavy cream. I've been really enjoying it, and I've been enjoying experimenting with it in cream soups. I'm very fond of it in the salmon soup that I love to make, which for me, salmon soup, if you're not watching your carbs, you could put any form of dairy in it you want. And I've considered just using butter, but sour cream and heavy cream both work in it really, really well. If you're using sour cream, it can get very thick as a soup, but it's delicious. Okay, let's get on to the blather. Well, first I saw Dr. Gaslighter, and it went pretty well. I opted, as I talked about last week, I opted for just smiling and saying, yes, I'm following all your instructions. As I think I told you, my blood sugar went to a little bit high. I'm right on the boundary of the diabetic range, but I'm not worried about it because the statins drive up my blood sugar, and I was stressed out of my mind through October and November. Of course, my sugar went high, but I was really unhappy because last week when I got the blood test done, which was now, when you hear it, it'll be like almost 3 weeks previous to hearing this podcast, and that was when my blood sugar was really high. But when I got the blood test done, the other thing I found was I was getting inflamed. My weight went up by 4 pounds. I was at 159, which I do not want. I'm not going to let my weight creep up again like I let it before. And of course, I knew that's partly the statins. They make you inflame. They made me have all sorts of problems. I was having mild diabetic symptoms like numbness. Okay, so I'm off the statins again. But I went back, as I told you, to MyFitnessPal. As a result, in the past week, I went from 159 pounds to 154, and I feel so much better. My mood is so much better. So that's really good. I'm really, really relieved to say that whatever was going on when I had the blood test, I feel like it's over. I'm going to wait another 2 weeks and get a blood test done privately to see where the A1C is going. A1C is a 3-month average. So I don't expect it to have changed much, but I want to see it coming down from where it was. In the meantime, the good thing about seeing Dr. Gaslighter was she didn't look at my chart very carefully. I had a COVID shot just about 3.5 months ago. You can only get them once every 4 months. She missed it. She said, oh, you need the new COVID shot. I do. I got the last of the old COVID shot before they added the new strains. So I just smiled and said, yes, I need a new COVID shot. And I got one. It's not bothering me at all. Barely made my arm sore. But also I'm scheduled to get an RSV shot. I confirmed with her. She said, no, you should be able to get it anywhere they have them. So I did make an appointment at a local pharmacy. We'll see how that goes. I've tried before. At CVS, they told me I couldn't because my insurance didn't cover it. And I signed on for one at a pharmacy that is run by the medical practice I use for my primary care. And the doctor said, no, you should be able to get it at any pharmacy. I'm trying a different pharmacy chain. We'll see how that goes. But hopefully, when you hear this, I will also have had my RSV shot. So, it all went really, really well. The doctor was very positive. The good news is she doesn't want to see me for another 6 months. So we're down to twice a year. She's happy with my progress. I am too. And we're just not even messing with my mood, the statins. She said, oh no, your blood work looks great for the LDL and all that. Great. Now I'm off the statins and I feel 1,000,000 times better. Thank heavens. Meanwhile, the weekend came. And so I have 3 days of work this coming week. So I've declared it Thanksgiving. That is to say, I was going to wait till Thursday morning to start my Thanksgiving vacation. I decided my Thanksgiving vacation started yesterday, even though I planned to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Why? Because many of my patients will find an excuse to skip. I don't care. I'm really happy. They're all in good shape. My caseload's very quiet right now. So I won't have that many patients. And that means I started to work on my Thanksgiving weekend list, a huge list of stuff I want to get done. Little things like making sure I have all the candle making supplies. I'm not doing the actual candle making till Romuel, but just making sure everything is there. I have a whole bunch of t-shirts I want to cut up to make a t-shirt quilt. Now what I'm doing, I'm not making a t-shirt quilt yet. All I'm doing is cutting shirts and putting them in a bin, a storage bin, the same way I'm doing with leftover fabric in those 2.5-inch strips. And when the bin is full, we'll make a t-shirt quilt. Very, very easy, but I'm just upcycling all the t-shirts. So I'm doing all the prep work there, and I have a whole bunch of fabric, as I said, from skirts I've made recently. And when I finish cutting this into strips, hopefully I'm doing nothing but scrap quilting. Hopefully I'm done with everything except quilting, t-shirt quilts and scrap quilts. I don't need any more skirts, and that's wonderful. It's beautiful to go in my closet and have a pile of skirts. It's beautiful to go into my sealed plastic bins and have a pile of sweaters and vests. Whee! Okay, so everything is going pretty well. If you go to the show notes, you will see again the community resources, the books I've used and mentioned on the podcast, my favorite resources online for buying things, a lot of small vendors in there, folks, and the lists of skills and techniques. If you go a little lower, one last time at least in these notes, you will see our sponsors from CFR 10. I'm going to integrate them into the community resources links, I hope, next week. And you will also see our local calendar for the craft groups that meet in the Santa Clarita Valley. Under that, you will see that I have November 28th through December 1st off for Thanksgiving, and that will involve the Turkey Trot on the 28th and the Thanksgiving 5K on the 30th. Romeo's coming up December 21st to, I think, December 29th, and then patients won't show up on the 30th and 31st, but we'll pretend I'm going to work. And then we have the races that come after that until we look at CFR 11, that is 2025, on October 11th, 2025. The planning is real. Minerva gets the last word. Well, yesterday, as I said, it was raining through a lot of my run. I came home and I was really impressed because I learned why I wear wool. I was wearing one of my wonderful crocheted Abbas sock yarn cowls, and I was wearing a hand-spun hat that I had knitted, and I was wearing crocheted half mitts, fingerless mitts that I had made, and I was quite warm even though it was windy and cold and rainy out. And this was just a beautiful thing because what happened when I got home was I realized the outside of all my woolens were soaked, and yet on the inside by my body they were bone dry. If you have ever wondered why natural fibers are better than synthetics, that was it. All the synthetic stuff I was wearing was soaked through, but my woolies were just delightful, and frankly, since they were on my head and my neck and my hands, they pretty much kept the rest of me warm. So I came in and all I wanted was hot mushroom cocoa and a hot bath, and Minerva came and joined me, and you can see her looking out the back window onto the back of our property, and she's just lying there companionably enjoying the humid heat. And, Minerva's last word would be, you know who your friends are on a rainy day. They hang around you, they don't run away. And on that note, let me remind you that you know who your friends are because your friends make your community. And when we work for the good of the community, we work for our own individual good. When we help each other, we are helping ourselves by building strong emotional bonds that we can count on when we need them. So everybody, remember, we're not just individualists. We are in a community, and we want the communities to thrive. Having said that, everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.